Hey, Steve Bignani here at High Octane Classics in Auburn, Massachusetts with a very cool Plymouth. But before we get into this one, most people agree that the 1964 Pontiac GTO was Detroit's first self-aware muscle car with a mid-sized car, big engine, and a whole lot of image to sell the sizzle. Well, for 1967, Plymouth responded with the GTX, and this 1968 is a second year for the Plymouth GTX. Now, the big thing about the GTX is that unlike the Plymouth Roadrunner, which came with a 383 as standard equipment, every GTX came standard with a 440 Super Commando big block with 375 horsepower, not 335, and 480 foot-pounds of torque, not 425. So big block, 440 power in every GTX. But here's the deal, 1968 was the second year for GTX, and the first year for this revised style. Now the Roadrunner came along also for the first time in '68, and while the Roadrunner could be had for as little as $3,034 in hardtop form, the GTX was $321 more with a base price of $3355. But again, you got that standard 440 and GTX logos up front and heavy suspension similar to what a Roadrunner had, but again the GTX was the top dog in Plymouth muscle for 1968. Let's look under the hood on this one and see what we find. And yeah, there it is, the mighty 440 Super Commando, also known as the Magnum in the Dodge world. This one has been lightly modified, an Edelbrock Street Performer RPM, intake manifold, aluminum, AVS, air valve secondary 4-barrel carburetor, chrome valve covers, but otherwise it's very original down to the unsilenced black crackle open element air cleaner and the high flow Magnum style exhaust manifolds. The standard 440 in an Imperial or a Chrysler 300 would have a log, but these are high flow items, kind of like a Max Wedge. Now this is a very, very clean car, and the engine's recently rebuilt, and it made 442 horsepower and 533 foot-pounds of torque on the dyno. So it's slightly modified, although it's still very happy to run on pump gas. The beauty of this car too is the original build sheet. This is a copy. The original item does come with the car. We can see right here the DNA of this car is well documented. So this is a real deal GTX. And again, we know that the VIN is RS23L, which is GTX 440, nothing more, nothing less. And again, it has the heavy duty 26-inch wide radiator, fan shroud. And this one is a power steering car, but interestingly enough, it has manual drum brakes. And you can see there's no booster on that master cylinder up there on the firewall. But speaking of the firewall, look at that green paint. This is GG1 Racing Green. This is the original paint, for the most part, under the engine bay, including here on this corner, the orange paint inspector's stamp right here. Very nice to see that level of originality. This right here would be paint okay. And that's not repop stuff, that's original. A little bit dingy, but that's okay with me. There's no rust. I'd rather see faded originality than, you know, doctored glossiness with mysteries underneath. This is a very clean, very pure muscle car. Now we go around to the front. And again, 1968, this is the first year for this hood with sort of the dual outboard facing faux scoops. And on your GTX, you saw either 440 or HEMI on a Roadrunner 383. So that was bragging rights right there. 396 pulls up next to your GTO. You know you got 40 cubes more than he does. They better have some parts on that 400 or 396 or this 440 is going to run away from it. That's just me. All right, now this one here again is a GTX, and we all see the stripe down the side, and the GTX, what Plymouth said this meant was the GT Exterminator. In other words, this car would exterminate the GTO and the Fairlane GT. That's kind of what Plymouth toyed with, that GTX, or GT Experimental, you choose, but these are just cool. Now this one does have some options inside. It has the optional buckets and center console, and yes, bench and column automated shifter were standard equipment. You paid extra, as you did in a Chevelle, for the sexier buckets and center console. Now the floor has the 727 torque flight, which is specially modified for use in GTX. It has a higher upshift governor inside, a slightly higher stall speed. So, and again, that's all factory stuff. This does have the optional sport steering wheel which is a beautiful piece, stainless spokes and a faux wood effect on the outer circle. And again, that's an optional item, so just nice. And again, the white vinyl top on the racing green with the white stripes, just a ton of eyeball. And again, nice clean car, original quarter panels on this. And we can see right here the inner door, the original tire inflation sticker, the original racing green, all present. Nice, pure car, not a doctored up, you know, modification. And I always look at the quarter panels right down here when they're nice and thin like that and still have the tabs on the bottom, which this one does. You know you're looking at the original structure and not a replacement quarter. Good to see that, and the tabs all here. When this gets too thick, you're looking at repair work, but not on this one. Let's go around to the back. And the beauty of the GTX, unlike the Roadrunner, it had a very specific center applique on the deck lid, this guy right here, which says GTX on it. And it kind of looks like big, wide taillights, but again, this is something seen only on GTX and Sport Satellite. But again, another thing that let people know that they were following a 440 powered Plymouth. And of course, the dual exhaust in this is correct with the tips, those oval chrome items. And this has the 8 3/4 rear axle. And unlike a Roadrunner with the 383, the GTX with the 440 has special leaf springs in the back. The right-hand leaf spring has 5 leaves plus 2 halves, not seen on Roadrunner. So what that does, it biases the suspension to help handle the torque so you get less axle windup and wheel spin. So again, GTX, Hemi cars and 440s have a special leaf spring set up on the back, and this still has those goodies, as well as the sway bar up front. And of course, 11-inch drums all the way around, which are like 30% larger than anything from General Motors. So these cars stop as well as they go. Let's have a peek inside the trunk. Yeah, that's really, really pretty. The trunk floor is not patched or modified in any way. It looks really, really nice. And the original green on the underside of the deck lid and on the hinges and the Zolatone effect, all of this just very pure and very nice. And again, you know, this is a 69 or 68, so this car's been around on this planet for, gosh, over 50 years. So, you know, it's a great example of Plymouth's second year high performance B body, and nothing really stronger than this in the Plymouth lineup till you get into the 1970 Hemi Cuda, that kind of stuff. But the GTX was the top dog, the boss. Ronnie Sox drove one of these things in NHRA Superstock drag racing. So that's the story of this car. Now keep in mind, this car can be purchased with as little as 10% down, and High Octane Classics does consider trades, late models, other GTXs, you name it, they'll certainly consider trades or credit toward the purchase of this car, whichever the case may be. And just because High Octane Classics is located in Auburn, Massachusetts, doesn't mean you have to come to Auburn to buy this car. They'll ship this anywhere on the globe, no problem. And another thing too is that High Octane Classics has been around for about 15 years with another 15 to go, and they're always looking for sales and service representatives, either seasoned pros or newcomers with a strong work ethic. And you can, if you want to move to Massachusetts and become part of the team, High Octane Classics is always hiring good folks. And they always are looking to replace inventory. High Octane Classics sells hundreds of cars every year. They're looking to purchase 1 or 20 cars. If you have cars to sell or want to come to work for High Octane Classics, you might want to give them a call at 508-859-4515. And then to learn more about this 1968 Plymouth GTX, the boss, the GT Exterminator 440 automatic car, 8 3/4, check it out on the High Octane Classics website.